Alright, today I'm driving our 1993 Suzuki Alto Works, which is on some coilovers, so bumps are a little much, but make it through. But yeah, so this is an Alto Works. It's the performance version of the Suzuki Alto, so it gets you a turbo 3-cylinder intercooled engine at 660cc. This is a K car. But it is all-wheel drive. This is the RSR version, so that gets you all-wheel drive. It's a really fun platform to drive. This thing is mostly original. We've got some changed out audio things here in the center, which may be adjusted in the future. Hopefully we can find an original deck. But yeah, 5-speed manual, all-wheel drive, turbo, intercooler. This little thing is a blast. Gets around, I believe, 72 horsepower. And this one actually does have a boost meter here, so you can play around with that a little bit. I've got that set more on the conservative side, but yeah, let's see. This one has a aftermarket driver's seat. It's a Recaro seat. It's actually really nice. It holds me in pretty well. I'm a fairly small guy, so I've still got room on the sides. It's not too heavily bolstered. Yeah, this thing is the definition of a pocket rocket. It's tiny, absolutely tiny. I can reach all the way over to the other side, no problem. You can see on the dash here, I've got a boost gauge right in front of me. You can probably hear that turbo. That little blow off at the end sounds pretty good. These things love to be revved out. They redline at around 8,500. So cruising RPM is between 3,000 4,000 RPM. But if you really want to get up into the boost, you can rev it up. That's what these are made for. It's got a pretty nice sounding exhaust from the factory, Suzuki Sport exhaust. It's a dual exit, and yeah, it looks really cool. Everything about this looks pretty cool. On the outside, the front end is really interesting. You've got 2 round headlights, big hood scoop for the intercooler. Yeah, this thing is really interesting looking. You can see this aftermarket little knob on the steering column here. That's to control the radio. So yeah, on the steering wheel here it says Works, and then it has, "We offer the ultimate works to those who really appreciate the performance. Keep on moving" is their slogan for the Works division of Suzuki. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, this is on coilovers. They are really stiff, so this thing corners great. There is pretty much zero body roll through the corners. You can carry a ton of speed, but it does come with a fairly stiff ride because of that. So those can easily be swapped out for anything else if you're not a fan of the stiff ride, or if you want to, you know, keep this thing as a little racer, then keep the coilovers on. Yeah, it corners really well. It's pretty planted, pretty solid through the corner. The best part about this being so tiny is that it feels like you're going a lot faster than you are. So this thing, you can be driving it to its limit all the time and you're only going like 40 to 60 miles an hour. You don't really have to push it all that hard to reach its limits. But it does cruise just fine at 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour. That's about where we're at right now, and it's right between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM. Just kind of cruising along. car. It would be a lot of fun on an open racetrack. And that's what these are used for over in Japan. These are track cars. This one we recently picked up from the port, and the entire way back from the port, this thing was a lot of fun. The second I started driving this, I was just giggling to myself, because, I mean, it really is a blast. That's what it's designed for. Good little car to kind of practice your performance driving capabilities. You know, taking tight corners, downshifting, upshifting at the right time. All those things like that. You can kind of play around with being up in the boost or being out of the boost. This is really a great car to learn your driving abilities. It does have AC. AC works great. Blows super cold. I'm going to keep that off for now because it's pretty cold here in Washington today. Cool. But yeah, wow, this thing is a really exciting car. The pedals are pretty close together and they're a flat plane, so it's super easy to heel toe, downshift. Yeah, you can just carry an incredible amount of speed through corners. But as you can probably tell, it is pretty bumpy with the suspension. Nothing you can't get used to though. Especially when you're having this much fun. Little cars like this are so unique, and I mean, this thing has no power mirrors because you can just reach over to the passenger side and adjust the mirror. But yeah, such a unique look. They get a lot of attention here in the US, and these little turbo manual racers are pretty hard to come by in any sort of clean condition. This is the first one we've had in quite a while. We usually look for the all-wheel drive and yeah, just an overall good condition. And usually they have quite a few problems, or they've been pretty well worn. This one feels great. Drives absolutely wonderfully. And it drives totally straight. This thing was very well taken care of in Japan. We've still got some cleaning up to do on it, as we did just pick it up, but we'll get the photos out on the site soon. Yeah, this is a pretty exciting one. I always run into cars that are more difficult to sell than others, and this is absolutely one of those, because you just kind of want to keep driving it. And it's super easy to drive too. It's not a performance clutch or anything, or at least it doesn't feel like it. The clutch is really forgiving. It really picks up. There's a lot of potential for modification too. I mean, you've already got the boost meter that's kind of hooked up to the ECU here. But you can also, the engine itself is pretty much stock, so you could do intake, a better exhaust, pull maybe 100, 110 horsepower out of this. Then you'd really have a rocket that would pretty much dominate at any racetrack. Turning radius. Take a quick U-turn here. Super tight, as expected. So yeah, now we're back at the lot. So that is our 1993 Suzuki Alto Works. An absolutely wonderful little car. Available in Seattle, Washington. Thanks for watching.